Okay, my YouTube viewers, we're going to be looking at the second video in this course that I'm creating. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into Microsoft Store and we're going to look at all of the Python apps that you can have in the Python store, in the Microsoft Store. So with Microsoft Store, the first thing you have is Python 3.13, which it says I'm installed. So I've got Python 3.13 installed. Python 3.14 is the newest edition of Python, but it's not on Microsoft Store yet. And since it's not on Microsoft Store, I can't install it. Now, what I would recommend is, especially if you have a Microsoft computer, that you only use applications that are in Microsoft Store. And the reason why is because the Microsoft computers have a firewall. But if you try to install a program that you haven't got through Microsoft Store, then what it does is it negates that firewall and you open yourself up to viruses. And I know that I had an instance when I first got my laptop that I tried to install something and it wasn't in Microsoft Store, but I went ahead and installed it anyway. And I later had problems with my computer, so I had to go back and do a software reboot. And then when I did the software reboot, I decided that I was only going to install applications that are in Microsoft Store. So you can see I've got Python 3.13 installed. And you can see 3.12, you can say that it's owned because I had it, but I removed it for 3.13. And you can see that I had 3.11, that was owned. And I had that, and I removed that for 3.12. But these Python IDEs are free, so you don't have to pay for them. I've got Instant Python as well, and I just applied that application to the computer because it says that you can develop and execute simple programs. But the thing about that is it is really simple programs. You can't do anything complicated on it. So, for instance, the tkinter library is an inbuilt library in Python. And in this particular Instant Python program, it doesn't give you tkinter, so you can't do a graphical user interface. So they give you some more code scripters, text editors, and compilers and interpreters that you can use that you have to pay for, like Sharpcode, which I didn't want that one. And you can see I've got Instant Python. You can see that's installed. You've got some other ones. Paid, it says Excel. I have Excel on my computer. So you've got Reddit. I don't have Reddit. You've got some other Python applications that you pay for, but I didn't want that. But you can just go down the list and then you can try out the applications that you want to try out. Some are free and some are paid for. I would recommend using the free ones, trying out the free ones first. Another one that we have, which I don't see in here, but I've got, is Visual Studio. And I've got Visual Studio Code, and I can show you how to use Visual Studio Code. You can see I've got it installed. I don't use Visual Studio Code a lot, but you can use Visual Studio Code if you want to. And because I don't use it a lot, I do use it sometimes. And the thing about Visual Studio Code is the fact that you can program in other languages. For instance, you can program in R, you can program in HTML and CSS and JavaScript. But obviously, with HTML, what you would need to do is you can run it on your browser. You can run HTML on your browser, but you can only run it on your browser. You can't run it on anybody else's browser. And CSS, you can run it on your browser, because I have experimented a little bit with HTML. I have actually made a few websites with HTML, but I don't have a website address, so it's not online. So you can make a whole website in Visual Studio, but you need to get a website address. But this isn't a course on HTML, so I won't show that to you. So we're looking at Microsoft Store, so you can see I would do a search on Python, and then you can also look at Visual Studio. So we'll come over here. We're going to look at, this is what we've got here. This is that little cheap and cheerful program application that I downloaded. And you really only can use simple programs. So we're going to say here, like, just to give you an example, A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals A plus B, print C. So if you've never done any programming before, this is a really simple program. A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals A plus B. So C equals 1 plus 2. So it says print C. So the answer is supposed to be 3. So we press start and your answer is 3. So that's a very simple program. And then we've also got something called idle, IDLE. That's a Python application, idle. I'm just trying to get it to come up. So again, we can say A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals A plus B, print C. And so it gives you the answer. And then with this idle, you can create a new file. You can open a file. You can check recent files. So let's look at my recent files. So yeah, I've had some played around recently. So that's one thing that you can do. You can create a new file, open a file. And then when you open a file, let's just open one that I've already made. So come over here to Python files. Come over here to first script. So here's your first script. It says print congratulations on running this script. So we go to run, you say run module, and it says congratulations on running this script. So I showed you how to make a new program, and then I showed you how to call up an existing program and run it. And what you can also do, so we check P high, and then I'm just going to go out of this for the time being. So we're going to go into Visual Studio Code. We're going to open it. And with Visual Studios, you can program in more than just Python, but the only thing that we're going to be worrying about in this course is Python. And you can see it's being really slow. So, say File, and what you would do is you would create a new file, but I'm not going to create a new file, but because I'm not going to be using Visual Studio, I don't think. But what we'll do is we'll open a file. And then so we'll come over here to Python files. So you can see you've got I've made some files. So we'll just say hello Mike. I don't want anything complicated since this is an introduction. So do you want to allow untrusted files in this window? And I'll just say open it because I made it. So it's a string equals hello Mike print string. But you see that since it's not an interpreter, you can edit the program. You can edit the program and then you can save it and close it. But then you would have to go into your Python IDE to actually run it. So that's one of the reasons why I don't use Visual Studio a lot. But you can use Visual Studio if you want to. But the thing that you have to keep in mind is the fact that Visual Studio is just a text editor. It's not going to enable you to actually run it. So another thing that you can do if you want to, you can, we'll do a search over here. Say Google Colab. So you can go, and then what Google Colab will do is Google Colab will allow you to program in Python online. And I use Google Colab quite a bit. I use Google Colab more than I use anything else. But for this course, so it says, examples, it says search notebooks. So I did this and we'll just say statistics. Just do a search on statistics. See if there's anything. Just say new notebook. Just to create a new notebook. And you've also got it on Google Drive. So if you've got a Google account and you want to go into Google Drive, so what we're going to do is we're going to do exactly the same code that we used previously. So, and then you run it. So it's taking a little while to run it. So you got your answer. But I'm not going to save it. But what you can do, like if you've got a Google Drive, you go into your Google Drive and you can create a new file with more, and I'm not going to do it, but you can see you've got Google Collaboratory that will enable you to create a new Google Colab file. But what I'll do is I'm going to call up a file, statistics. So okay, here's one, statistical distributions. So this is a Google Colab file as well. So you can create your own files. So I've given you 3 ways. I've given you and there's your program, or there's my program. So I've given you a multitude of ways that you can program in Python. You can use Python's IDE. You can use Visual Studio. But if you use Visual Studio, you're still going to have to go back and use Python's IDE anyway. And then you're going to use this cheap program, this cheap one here, Instant Python, but that only goes up to Python 3.8, and we're already on Python 3.14, so you can only do really cheap and cheerful programs. So if you want to do something cheap and cheerful, you can use Instant Python. And there's also there's online. I'll go ahead and get out of this, but there's online Python interpreters that you can use as well if you want to. You don't have to use that. So we can come over here and say online Python interpreter. And so it's going to give you a whole list of Python. And what you want is you want something free. You want to try something free. So it's going to give you a whole list of online Python interpreters that you can use to work with. So you can select the one that you like best. Me personally, I would recommend that you try something free. So let's try free. That's what I would recommend. Try something free. Say online Python. That's free, online Python interpreter. W3 Schools is free, I think. But you can go through and you can check online Python compiler. So here's one, a Hello World one. And I'll just go ahead and do the same program that we did before. And say where it says try it yourself. So we'll just do the same program that we did before, just for consistency. And we're going to run it. So you can see. So I've given you a variety of ways that you can learn Python, and you can choose the way that's best for you. So that's going to go ahead and conclude this video, and I will think of my next video that I'm going to use to carry on with this course. So thank you so much, and I will be communicating with you in the next video with the next subject.